Well, this is one of my favorite videos to make every year, the best fixed blades of the year, 2021 in this case. And we are gonna look today at the best fixed blades that I've reviewed this year. Now, what's really different about this particular year on top of many other videos that we've done in the past is that not only did I get the chance to review some very unique blades, a lot of brands that I haven't tested and reviewed before, but also I packed up my entire family, put the house up for rent, and we hit the road full-time RVing. And so not only did I really have to pick and choose what gear I was going to use and test, but I also didn't review quite as many fixed blades as I normally would, just because we had that huge transition. But now I got my legs under me and really starting to move again, doing those fixed blade videos. But I've been in a lot of different terrain than just the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, which has an amazing plethora of terrain to test out and review gear. But I've now had a chance to go up and down the entire western part of the United States and see a lot of different terrain to use these knives and maybe have a little bit of a different perspective than I have in years past. And so the concept with this video is just for the knives that we reviewed in the last 12 months, what were the best of the best, cream of the crop, the best fixed blades that really stood out to me compared to other ones, because there are a lot of great ones out there. There are a lot of great ones that we've reviewed in the past, but this year, what was the cream of the crop, the best of the best that we tested and saw that I can point you in as you go towards 2022 and possibly putting on your wish list, want list, or used list when you hit the outdoors. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. Numero uno on our list comes out of Spain, and it's the Joker Nomad. Now, this came out of left field for me, guys. I had reached out and done a video on a Joker knife a few years ago, just picked it up on Amazon. It was a random kind of purchase, did it. Then after that video, I was just kind of blown away. So Joker reached out and we kind of connected, and they sent me a few blades. They're like, hey, test a couple of these out. And so that was one of the tools that was coming, and I was like, whatever, I don't know. Look, I mean, it kind of looks good. This thing, not only myself, but the entire crew that goes with me, my friends and family, we were really stunned by this particular tool, because not only is it stainless steel, where most knives in the price range and in the size range are usually high carbon. So this one, you can get a couple different versions. The one we got was with N695 Bowler steel, great steel, well heat treated, and it had a convex edge on it, and it was about 0.2 on the thickness. And honestly, it's kind of like what you kind of wish the BK2 was. It is very competitive with what the K-Bar Becker BK2 is. Almost that weight. It's right around, I think, 10 or 11 ounces, but the convex grind with the stainless steel is just like, what on earth am I using right now? Because you're feeling this big, beefy, robust tool, but you have stainless versus high carbon, which is in some environments awesome, particularly when you have high humidity, but the convex edge is just like bananas. But you can still like chop really well, you can still baton really well with it, but you can do these finer cuts that bigger tools like that are quarter to, let's say, 0.2 often just can't do. And so it's got a very unique profile. The ergonomics are fantastic. Rounded micarta, you can get stabilized wood as well, I believe, on there. So there are a lot of different features and options. 90-degree spine, throw sparks. You can get sheath options. You can get it with or without fire steels. I mean, there's a lot going on with this tool, and it's made in Spain. And this thing has just so much going for it. It comes in right around $120 on average through Amazon. We'll have a bunch of links throughout this video for you guys below. But you can get a lot of different features and options that are available. So, I mean, that is really good for that price range. And the only downside that I saw was in the leather sheath, though very good, high quality build, the button snaps were just like really weak, and we just weren't really impressed with those. If there was a better way that the leather loop for your belt was just better designed, that was really the downfall for the leather. I believe there is Kydex that is available as well. You could always super glue those buttons. But other than that, very impressed with the Nomad, and totally worth looking at if you like convex grinds, you want stainless steel, and you want a beast of a tool at about 5 inches. I want to take a brief moment to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, which is Grip 6. Now guys, Grip 6 has been a sponsor here at the channel now for over a year, and I love it because they make amazing USA made products that I've been using long before I ever started telling you about them here at the channel. And as we count down to Christmas, till December 17th, they have a sale going on for 20 to 35% off site-wide, depending on the item that you choose. We are gonna have a link in the description box below so you can go check out all that they have to offer, from their minimalistic belts that I've been using since forever that I love. They have men's and women's. They have brand new titanium topo design belt buckles that I'm in love with. Just started trying out one of those and it is sick looking. I love it. As well as their premium source right here in America wool socks, both in crew and low cut, that are awesome. And I took them on a recent backpacking trip and they were the only socks that I trusted to carry me all the way through the Wind River range of Wyoming and back. And they did awesome, 0 blisters. And they're coming out with new stuff all the time, including their super cool wallets that I just started to use. And I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for how quick they can pop out your cards and the sleek, cool profile. And again, knowing that they're made right here in America is fantastic. So I encourage you guys, go check out that hyperlink. It lets them know that we sent you, see what they got going on. I think they make an amazing gift this holiday season for the loved ones in your life, that they know they're gonna get a very reliable piece of gear that's gonna last them 4 years to come, and it's made right here in America. And with that, let's go ahead and get back to it. Now, number 2 on the list is a knife that really got me interested in this next brand, and it's the ANV Knives, which stands for Acta Non Verba, and that's Czech. This knife is made in the Czech Republic, and it's the M311 Spelter. This M311, and hopefully I don't stumble over that and say the 311M or something like that, the M311, for those 311 fans, you might like this tool. But this knife has the potential to really not only stand out from the crowd, but be this very cool crossover tactical utility knife, but also be able to be a woods knife. Basically a really well-balanced field knife. Now, what sets this apart is that you're gonna be getting kydex, you're gonna be getting an amazing attention to detail and fit and finish. The fit and finish is very good. You're gonna pay for it because it usually goes for about like $230, I believe, to like $300, depending on features, options. Now, the cool thing is, those of you in Europe, you're gonna be able to pick this up over on their website. There will be a link for those of you who need to purchase through the Czech website. A lot of distributors here in America, not only Amazon now, but also Blade HQ, I know for sure, carry this. You can also get this with 2 different steels, and that will also affect pricing. The version I have is the LMAX version, and that LMAX steel is super tough and super high edge retention. The stability on the edge, meaning that it's not going to roll on you and cause damage and dull out faster, is fantastic. The downside is it does take a while to resharpen in the field, so you got to weigh that, and how confident are you in your sharpening skills. If you're kind of new to knives, know that it's going to be a bear. You may have to practice on softer, like hard carbons or basic stainless steels before you go into that to get really good edge geometry once it does dull out on you. But if you tune up a ceramic rod, it's very easy. The awesome thing is that it just has such cool lines in profile, and it works, man. You can throw sparks with it if you need to, even though it does have a secondary rounded spine. The edges are very sharp and you can easily start fires with it. It's super well balanced. The ergonomics is really good, even though it looks really wild and you're like, man, that could cause like a lot of hot spots. Bushcraft was like easy with it. It does have a choil, so those of you who like about 5-inch knives with a choil, this is going to have that, so you can really choke up and get what you need. But also it's designed for stabbing, piercing, slashing, gashing, and those type of activities if you need to. And again, coming with all of that, and then you can get it with N6, I believe 95 or 90, I can't remember, N6 90, 95. That will bring down the price. Still a good steel. The LMAX is where it's at though, if you're needing premium on every level: edge retention, toughness and durability, and rust resistance. That thing is going to have an insane amount of that, and just really cool profile and lines. It really stands out from the crowd. Now, the one downside is basically going to be probably more in the finger choil aspect to it. This size, it's right on the edge where it doesn't really need it. For a lot of you, maybe you love that and you like using a finger choil to choke up, and it gives you this versatility. For me, I'm on the fence. It didn't hurt the performance, and I wasn't like, God, why is this finger choil on here? But I didn't think that the blade was such a size that it like required it. I believe once a cutting edge is about 5.5 to 6 inches, that's when it becomes more beneficial to have a choil. So some people, you might like, I love everything about it, but man, at that size range, I wish it just didn't have a choil. I got a solution for you, and it's coming up here in just a little bit on one of the other options. But this was an amazing, excellent tool, so cool, and really a high performer. So guys, the next one, I've never used or reviewed anything like it. And I'm talking about the Tops Knives Kuma Kaju. It's not Kuma Cage. I believe it's Kuma Kaju, I believe is how you pronounce that. This thing is literally like the short sword that Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe would use. I played with G.I. Joes constantly as a kid. And when I had this in my hand, I felt like Snake Eyes. This thing not only it scratches that itch of like wild and outside the box and nostalgic on every level, but this thing actually performed. You know, you get some of these tools, you're like, yeah, it's cool, but I mean, aside from what, like going in the backyard and hacking down some branches, like what am I gonna really do with this? This thing can literally split like a light hatchet. It was bananas, the level of splitting capability, the level of chopping and hacking and wielding that I could do with this tool, and it's fully functional. I mean, it is well, Tops did just such a good job manufacturing this design. The relief edge is really well done. The 1095, the Kydex sheath, a lot of knives this size, I mean, it's basically a sword. You know, you get nylon, you know, or you know, the sheath is an afterthought. They spend so much money and attention to detail and work going into the tool that they're like, oh yeah, just throw a nylon crappy thing on there. This Kydex sheath works, it's functional. I mean, this is a fun tool that you could actually take on a backpacking trip and take out a bear if it was attacking you. You would actually feel like you have a fighting chance. I mean, with this tool, and I was super glad I had it in the Wind River Range where grizzlies are known to be roaming. So that was with me during that trek, and it was amazing to give that away. It was hard for me to decide to do that as our 200,000 viewer subscriber giveaway this year, but that is like the coolest freaking tool ever. Now, the one drawback for the Tops is that they're really hard to get your hands on right now. Not only is Tops trying their best and working as hard as they can to crank out designs, but they have so many designs, so these are really coming out in batches right now. So if you love the tool, good luck. I mean, you're gonna have to wait. You're probably gonna have to get on a wait list, and that brings in pricing. You know, it's usually about like 120, I think, maybe even 160, or excuse me, 320 or 360 on the Tops website. Street price when they are available on like Blade HQ and Amazon and, you know, GP Knives, that type of stuff, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, is usually like between, I think, like 260 and 280 is what I've seen. And they're just hard to get your hands on. So they're kind of like a unicorn knife right now. And so that's something that you just have to kind of weigh and consider with the design. But every other aspect to it, the actual functionality of the Kuma Cage is, excuse me, Kuma Kaju. See, like I messed it up. Is just outstanding and will literally boggle the mind, and is not only just a cool factor, but a cool factor that actually works when you want to use it. Next up is a redux on an amazing iconic tool that's been around for decades, and it's the Buck 119 Pro. Now, the Pro series is an S35 VN blade, which is a phenomenal steel. I love it. And Buck knows how to do steels and heat treats. I've never seen a steel that I was not happy with through the heat treat process from Buck. And then you get a micarta handle instead of the stabilized polymer, which basically, from what I understand, is what they make bowling balls out of. That's like what the original 420 high carbon with the black handle that's super slick version is. Now, the micarta isn't that much more textured. You know, you get a little bit more warmth. It's more about the look to me. It just looks that much better with the micarta over the black handle. And then the S35VN is an outstanding steel that's going to hold its edge much longer. It's more rust resistant and really works well in comparison to the 420, though. For the 50 bucks that you'll pay for the maybe 60 now, I don't know, for the 119 regularly with the 420, it's no slouch. But this one at about 190 has just an excellent feel to it. So if you like that design, but you just want more premium, maybe a great gift item, I think this makes, like, for those of you who have some nostalgia around the 119 from Buck, this is an amazing way to go, regardless if you're gonna use it or not. And I think it's a great user. That hollow grind can compete with any Mora that I own, any Scandi ground knife. I mean, it is wicked for Bushcraft, removing the flesh of the wood each sweep. It means just like whoom, 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 feather sticking, notching, you know, those type of activities. The spear or the clip point can spear into things super well. I mean, just so good. 90-degree spine, so you can throw sparks. So it's great, like, companion blade if you're using hatchets and saws a lot, and you know you're not going to be putting that tool through really hard abuse. that right there is something to consider, and definitely, you know, takes the cake on that level. And we tested it, used it this year, and I took it with me on this trek because it's just such an amazing, iconic tool. You know, the one detractor I would say for a lot of people is just that it has the top and bottom guard. I know a lot of people in this day and age, whereas back in the day that was pretty normal. More and more tools are not using those unless they're a dedicated like combat knife. So the fact that this is more of like a hunting woodsman's tool, I think that some people will just be like, it's got that big guard, I just want to deal with it. The way it's designed and the rounded guard, you can easily choke up over it and, you know, use it. I've never had an issue with it, but some people may find it to be somewhat cumbersome and just like, I'm going to pass on that. So that would be the one detractor from the design, but every other aspect to it is just amazing and an iconic tool. So guys, you may notice that things have shifted over the years. I used to be really drawn to very gradual blade tips, you know, that where the end of the blade was very a gradual drop, or it was a spear point, and swedged, clipped, buoy, you know, design knives I just really didn't connect with as much. But over the years, I've actually gravitated away from the very basic designs. Not that they don't function or don't work. I just like how a buoy knife and a clip point, you know, swedged tool looks and performs. There are a few drawbacks, usually in batoning. If you're doing a lot of batoning, it damages your tool faster. Other than that, I mean, there's not a lot of drawback to it. And this knife today is actually one of the only designs that you're gonna see in this video that heralds back to what I used to really gravitate to. And it's the Work Tough Gear Red Wolf. This is an amazing, amazing tool. It's a fantastic belt knife option, and I would say competes, if not outperforms, big names like a Becker BK16, SE4s. I know there's another one I'm just drawing a blank on, but like that world of full tang, high carbon steel, compact fixed blades, I would say this in many ways is better. And the reasons for that is a few things. One, you don't have to do any customization. You can get leather or Kydex sheaths out of the gate from the factory that work really well. It has contoured G10 handles that are very comfortable and fill out the hand very well. They have texturing on them. They don't create any hot spots. It really fills out the hand very nicely, and you don't have to get aftermarket handle scales or anything like that. And it doesn't have a choil. Knives, say like as an example, the SE4, I don't feel like the SE4 needs a choil. It's just, it's compact as it is, and it, I believe, actually kind of pulls away from some of the capability in that compact size range. This doesn't have a finger choil, so you're able to get right up on it. Good guard, that full tang construction, obviously, and then coming in with that thinner stock at about 0.15 or 16, you know, so it's thicker than an eighth, but thinner than 3/16, like the SE, and it's right around the BK 16, but the BK 16, you got to get aftermarket handle scales. The nylon sheath that it comes with is bogus, you know, so you got to do lots of customization, send it off, you know, cost more money. This, it's just out of the gate, boom, there you go. Now, it is made in Taiwan, sourced out of SK85 Japanese high carbon steel, differentially heat treated, Rockwell 56 to 58. I mean, this is like the 8th one of the Work Tough Gear knives I've used. It's excellent, it's fantastic. Zero complaints with that tool, and the steel and how it performs, you know, and because of that full flat grind, the ergonomics, the Kydex, you have this knife that you just buy and it's like, boom, it does everything that I look for in that compact belt knife arena and doesn't really have any drawbacks. The only two drawbacks that we're kind of seeing a lot lately, one is just sourcing. It's just hard to get your hands on it. Not only is it Work Tough a one-man show currently, so they have to do batches, you know, do a couple hundred and then they're gone, and then, you know, maybe takes a couple months. So that's, you know, something you may have to wait on for a while. But then also the SK85 high carbon, it tends to pick up rust even more so than 1095 is what I've seen. So you just really have to babysit it if you're in humid environments, even more so than 1095. Now, a lot of them come with cool splatter coatings that definitely help fight against that. But it's just something to kind of be aware of, and you're just gonna need to babysit, and it stains easier and picks up that, you know, superficial rust very easily in comparison to, say, other, you know, high carbons that are on the market. So that's the only kind of drawback. It'd be super sweet to see this design in a stainless. I think it'd be an amazing tool to have in a stainless steel option as well. So that is what I have seen, and of those knives in that arena, it is absolutely a high performer, and I would totally recommend you checking it out if you're into that kind of flavor of tool. All right, guys, final piece of the puzzle, the one that I believe everybody should purchase. And it answers that question from earlier with the M311, that maybe you like everything about it, but you're just not into finger choils. Maybe you are. I mean, then the 311 is going to be amazing. But if you don't and you like kind of that vein, though, I have a knife that you're gonna see a lot more in 2022, because I have a couple ideas for like competing videos, and this was just recently released, and you guys like went bananas for it, and I went bananas for it, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. It was just kind of like, yeah, I haven't reviewed a Lion Steel before. Let's do it. That one looks pretty dope. And when I got it, I was just like, what on earth is happening? This was the Lion Steel T5. This tool is ridiculous. It's gonna come in at about $150 to like $175. Depends on where you buy it from and what type of sheath and tones that you get, because you can get the uncoated, which I have. You can get like a coated version as well, and I think there might be a version that has a nylon sheath. I wanted the leather. The leather is phenomenal. Every aspect of this tool, I cannot complain about the tool. I can't. This is the only one today that you're gonna get, like, is there a negative? I haven't found it yet. Can't find a negative with this tool. Honestly, just being real with you. Picking it up, just kind of on a whim. Let's buy it. You know, I do that a lot. I'm like, yeah, it looks good, let's do it. You know, not really expecting a lot. It's in this field knife kind of vein. We have a high saber grind, 0.2 on the thickness. What the like party trick is that it's a full tang, but the micarta goes all the way around the entire bottom. So it's like a canoed piece of micarta, one piece, that they then drop the full tang knife into and screw it into place. And that is ultra cool, because it takes it to just another level of ergonomics. The ergonomics are amazing. Doesn't have a finger choil. I don't think it's needed at right about 5 inches. Mild swedge, not enough to really damage a batoning stick, but enough to like really make it look cool. So the steel is a Nylox. I've never really used that before, so I can't really speak for long-term usability. It's been rust resistant. It is supposed to be like a souped up D2 kind of, having similar properties to that. But you know, the stability of the edge and toughness is very good. It's not chippy like normal D2 would be. So really good on that level, made in Italy. And then it has, like in this case, a leather sheath with MOLLE compatibility that's just fully functional. I mean, yeah, guys, it has the potential to be a replacement for, say, knives like in this range. The Gerber Strong Arm, the Falkneven S1, what else? An SK5 in like CPM or something like that, you know, 3V. I mean, I'm gonna do some competitive stuff and some future videos on that, because it just has this really cool aspect, and is kind of in the sizing of like an SE5, but not as heavy and bulky and clunky. It's much more nimble and quick in the hand than, say, like an SE5 would be, but it's kind of in that, it's in all those knives I just listed to you world that we're definitely gonna be doing some future videos on. And so if I was to tell you of the whole list today, buy one, that would be the one to totally look into, and is kind of like why I put it at the end. It's like top notch, but it has a lot to offer, and I would highly recommend taking a look. But guys, all of these have blown me away in one way or another, and are just excellent on every level, and totally worth looking at if you are wanting to purchase a new tool, depending on what you need for 2022, because we're basically there. That is what I would totally recommend to you in this list. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. If there are blades that have come out that you've started using, or that you're interested in, that you're like, dude, these might be really good, or I really think this is like one of the best knives ever. I want to hear from you. I want to know, so that in 2022, I can get my hands on it, start using it, and it might make it to this year's video. So, or next year's video. You guys know what I mean. So guys, I just encourage you to check out the other video, to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber here at the channel. Throwing up content like this all the time. You can see us on Facebook and Instagram as well, and see up and coming videos that I'm working on. I just pray that this holiday season you guys have an amazing time with friends and family, that God blesses you. And until next time and next year, because we're coming up on it real soon, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.